United stand. It's Manchester United versus Liverpool, the big one, and for the big one, it's great to actually get what I hope will be a bit of an opposition view. You probably recognise the gentleman in my top right corner, Mr. Stan Collymore, ex of Liverpool, ex of many clubs, but he tweeted it out earlier that this is the biggest game in England, bar none. Stan, over to you. What Manchester United v Liverpool Monday night? We've still got a few more days to wait after this torrid international break, but what are you thinking about it? Where do you think it's going to go?
I think it's going to be two scenarios I can see happening. One is that Liverpool start the game with this incredible tempo that they have had, to be fair to Jurgen Klopp, and what they've tried to do is play at a very high tempo. We've seen it with Pep Guardiola and Manchester City. We've seen it with Mauricio Pochettino and, of course, Spurs. And we saw it with Brendan Rodgers' Celtic against Manchester City. If you have a go at teams from the outset, particularly the first 20 minutes where as a player, it's a time to get warm. And once you get right into it, and the way that Jurgen Klopp likes to play, all of a sudden, you're warm, you're in tune with the game, you're winning first balls, you're winning second balls, you're on the front foot. So understand the philosophy behind it. It's not foreign to these shores. We've done it with all of our great sides, whether it's been great Liverpool sides in the past, great United sides in the past. They all pressed high up the pitch. But I see the difference between Liverpool and Manchester United at the moment is that Liverpool are able to translate Klopp's philosophy into a very attractive style of play, bar the Burnley game whereby they were just passing sake. They couldn't break beyond the lines, and essentially they lost the game 2-0 because they couldn't do that. But in recent games, I think that Liverpool have done it very well, and particularly at Anfield, there's a feeling of new around, new manager, new impetus, new stand, and so from that perspective, I think that if Liverpool go out and they start the game very strong and very quick, I think that they could score very quickly and get 2 goals in double quick time, and that for me would put United to bed. But if United get to half time, don't forget United have won the last 2 games, I think 1-0 and 2-1 at Anfield. So they've got a good record there. They've got players that know the lay of the land. They've got world-class talent that won't be intimidated by going to Anfield. If they get to half time and ride the storm, then I think that in the second half of play, if United can just bring it down a little notch, use the experience that they've got, start to dictate play and ask questions in the attacking part of the pitch, then I think that United could go on and win the game, for example, 2-1 or 1-0, which has been the case in the last couple of games. So I think that we will see a hell of a lot by half time. If Liverpool are out of the blocks, I think that they're a very good team for 60, 65 minutes. But if United can keep it nice and tight, slow the game down, slow the expectation from the crowd, then I would expect United's big boys to come good in the second half of play, for sure.
Yeah, no, I think I would agree with that. I think the first 20 minutes is massively important, like you say. Liverpool will come out. It is their cup final. I want to ask you a couple of things about Liverpool United in a moment, but keeping it present. Mourinho, Klopp's had a year. Mourinho's only had a couple of months. People want to compare the two. Personally, I don't think there's any comparison. I really do think they are poles apart when it comes to history and what they've achieved and what they will achieve. But where do you sit on this? I'll give you a bit of background, Stan. There are United fans even now who are massive fans of Klopp, who wanted him at the club, and I detect they still would. If you were an owner of a football club, which man would you prefer to be in charge to get you on top of the Premier League in England?
I think that if you look at Jurgen Klopp's mantra, it has been, or what he sold himself on, it has been developing players. So, I mean, he had a spell at Dortmund, we all remember it, where they were near the foot of the table and he rescued the situation. But he bought players under value, polished them and turned them into top draw players. We know the names, whether it be Royce, Lewandowski, all did particularly well for him. But without a shadow of a doubt, and before people throw at me, what about Wolfsburg, what about Schalke, what about Cologne and other teams that were challenging for the title with Bayern Munich over a 10-year period, Dortmund traditionally was set up with 80,000 people going through the gates, Champions League winners, I think 96 when I was playing, to be the second team in Germany. So they gave him a decent financial background to be able to bring in young players and say, you're going to play in front of 80,000, we're going to polish you, and then we're either going to sell you to Bayern or we're going to sell you to other clubs. Now, what Jurgen Klopp did that was very clever is he embraced the cult of personality. If you saw him on Monday Night Football with Jamie Carragher, all I saw on Twitter was genius, 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 genius. For being able to elaborate what all professional managers should do, which is tell you what their philosophy is. The fact that so many, particularly British-based managers, are poor at elaborating what's in their brain and telling the audience, and deifying Jurgen Klopp almost, is a damning indictment on British managers. Now, let's flip it to Jose Mourinho. He's won trophies wherever he's gone. I know for a fact, having broadcast with the kind of, do United fans want him or don't they? A lot of United fans 18 months ago were saying, no, don't want him at our club. Sir Bobby Charlton got it right. There's a certain kind of Manchester United manager, a certain style and a certain personality. I think that all clubs realise these days that you cannot have that. You just got to have somebody that either wins or loses. And winning for Manchester United and for Liverpool, because of the flip-flopping effect they've had in the Champions League in recent years, is top four nailed on. And in a season like last season where Leicester could go and win the title, could this season with a really good run, one of the two biggest clubs in English football go on and win the title? Now, I don't think Liverpool win the title because I don't think the squad depth or 2 or 3 world-class players are there to be able to win the league that are playing 9 out of 10 week in and week out. I may be proven wrong. And for Manchester United, the problem is it's not a style, it's not a substance element. I wrote about it at the beginning of the season that he needs to get the front four right. Does Zlatan play as a 9 or a 10? Does Rashford play as a 9 or a 10? Does he play Mkhitaryan and Jesse Lingard to the right or to the left? Or Martial and Lingard? And he hasn't got that quite right yet. And the concern for me from a Manchester United perspective as a pundit is the longer that he doesn't get it right, and you don't have a front four that can connect and get you 25, 30, 40 goals a season, that City, Arsenal, maybe Liverpool, maybe Spurs might have a nice points cushion by the time that United start to grind out results Jose Mourinho style. So for me, for Liverpool, I honestly don't. I'm excited as a former Red, the style that they're playing, and I think they will be competitive. But from a Manchester United perspective, the concern is, can they get a front four that has the balance and the blend to not only score lots of goals, but play in the United fashion at Old Trafford and win lots of games? So I think there are question marks for both clubs and both teams.
Yeah, no, I'd agree. For some reason, we seem to have lost you visually, Stan, but we can hear you. Yeah, I think you know, my criticism of Liverpool would be I just look at their 11 and I'm not fearful of it. I think he's had a good start to the season, but like I say, he's been there a year. We've got you back now. But you sort of touched on United there. It was one of the things I really wanted to ask you about because I know we spoke about this on your call, Collymore on Sirius, that it was around the time where Rooney was going to be dropped by United, not England, and we were saying how, you know, a lot of ex-United pros won't say anything about it. What's your opinion? Because something's developed today as well with Rooney. I wouldn't play him on Monday, no way. I think it's right that he was dropped by England, even though Dwight York has come out today and said it's a disgrace. But I wouldn't play him on Monday. And there's talk today that maybe United might try and pay his contract off. I've never seen a decline like Rooney's, but it is so steep. And even when he's coming on as a sub, I don't see that fighting fire that some players get.
I mean, I think that from my perspective, Wayne Rooney has been a great servant to club and to country. Particularly from an England perspective, when you turn up time in, time out, it can be quite a grind. We all know it can. Nobody really is massively enthusiastic at the moment about international football. So from that perspective, I think that you have to give Wayne Rooney credit and kudos for joining up to get his 100-odd caps. At the beginning of the season, I said the narrative for Manchester United Football Club, which could derail them, or certainly be an issue that Jose Mourinho has to deal with, is Rooney. And that's proven to be the case. The clocks are about to go back proper into the winter period where clubs just need to win games. 10, 15 games, be competitive, win 75 to 85% of those games to remain competitive. If the story continues to be about Wayne Rooney next international break for England, 2 weeks after that, if he comes, you know as well as I do, if Wayne Rooney comes in and he's absolutely garbage against Liverpool but scores the winner, there's going to be a massive clamour for Wayne Rooney to get back into the starting 11. A good manager needs to decide, does this player have a future at Manchester United Football Club, a club with a tradition of winning? And if he doesn't, then we need to get rid. And I was talking about the January transfer window in August, and a lot of people were saying not a chance that Wayne Rooney's going to go in that window. I just wonder, to take the stories off the back page of Wayne Rooney, Paul Stretford, his agent, that was my agent, will be looking for the next payday already, whether that's China or more realistically the United States. So he'll already be probably engaged in a negotiation process with United to be able to move the situation on. I think that for Wayne, he's had his testimonial, he's won every trophy that there is to win at United. He would probably do well to say, now, I'm at the peak of my powers. I'll leave Manchester United as a great friend and hopefully I can come back someday. And from the international perspective, I think it's a little bit more difficult and a little bit more fractious for Gareth Southgate, because Gareth Southgate doesn't have the credibility yet that Jose Mourinho does. Mourinho could get rid of him tomorrow and United fans will say, in Jose we trust. Gareth Southgate took a really ballsy decision to leave him out of the team the other day.
Yeah, definitely.
And he's just about got away with it. But if England lose against Scotland and Scotland leapfrog England in the next group of games, it'll be Rooney, Rooney, Rooney. What would I do? I'd shake the lad's hand, give him a nice payoff, thank him for his service, and that story then doesn't become a story for Man United, because if it continues into January, February, March, April and May, those kind of stories could derail, even in this season when Jose Mourinho's getting to know his team and know his new signings. It still could be an active title race for Manchester United.
No, I agree with you. I mean, I think maybe United fans, we are seeing it slightly delayed to England fans. But you've hit the nail on the head there. I've been saying it myself, that I am concerned that, if it's Ander Herrera who doesn't play, it's forgotten about. Because it's Rooney and he's out of form, it's hanging over us, and it's going to be every press conference.
I'll ask you a question. I'll ask United fans a question. Juan Mata was Player of the Year twice at Chelsea. There was all the rumours when Jose came. Was this going to be the third time or second time that Juan Mata was disposed of by Jose Mourinho? There was the famous subbing the substitute scenario, and you thought Juan Mata's toast. And then I think that Jose looked at it and thought, I'm being really harsh on this lad. And I haven't amongst United support yet, that a lot of them are not convinced. I'm going to give him another chance. And he got his head down as a really good pro. He's played under Louis van Gaal wide of a 4 when he's played 4-1-4-1. He's played wherever he's been asked to play, except for number 10 for a number of games.
Yeah.
Now, if you're asking the question as an analyst or a pundit or as a fan, who's the better number 10, Mata or Rooney? It's Mata. So why should Juan Mata, that's done everything right in his United career, engaged with supporters, made Manchester his home, spoke very well about the club and him wanting to be there, make way for somebody that has the 6th or 7th or 8th opportunity to make a success of his United career in the last 2 years in terms of Wayne Rooney? So I think that you can get rid of that in one stroke by sitting Stretford down, Ed Woodward down, Jose Mourinho, and saying, Wayne, you've been an amazing servant to the club. We're even going to give you a free as long as you go to the US or you go to China or whatever. And then we stop talking about it, because Manchester United, Liverpool, all of the big clubs are never about one player. It's always about progression, moving on and competing. And that's what Jose Mourinho needs to do now. Progress, get his front 4 right, get the Pogba position right, get the defensive midfield right, and move forward. And I don't think they can for as long as there is going to be that fickle support that when Wayne Rooney's on the bench and the team aren't playing well, it was because Wayne Rooney didn't play. I think that we should move that argument on now for both club and for country.
No, I think I can't add any more. I think Mata's a model professional. Even now, he's still getting subbed because he's Mr. Nice. Which what I wanted to ask you next is, I remember you, Stan. I remember you in that lovely suit in '96 with the Spice Boys. Obviously, I mean, Liverpool round then, if they were a good side, I don't know what they were missing, that they didn't quite push United all the way, but they were a good side.
That's what we were missing.
Pardon?
Sir Alex Ferguson, that's what we were missing.
I'll never forget that 4-3 game. But the Newcastle one, I saw it the other day. Keegan down, because he was another enemy. But going back to that United-Liverpool games then, I mean, they've never lost their edge. You're right. It is the biggest game. I don't get where people are coming from with El Clasico. If you live in Spain, then fair enough. But for England, it's definitely the biggest. In your time as a Liverpool player against playing these United sides, who was the best player you played against and who was the toughest?
I think that in those games, I mean, I remember playing for Forest and winning at Old Trafford when United hadn't lost for 12 months, and that was the season before I went to Liverpool. So I'd had a really good experience for Nottingham Forest at Old Trafford. And it was Bruce, it was Pallister, it was Irwin, Keane, Ince, Kanchelskis, Cantona, Giggs. And I think that particularly in the cup final that we lost, when Eric scored late on, I think that the two central defenders, I don't know whether it was Bruce and Pallister, certainly Pally was playing. I don't know who he was playing alongside, but was superb that day. Again, talking about players, and we all like to see players now come into a club, hit the ground running, and we take that for granted, and that's to the credit of the modern player. But I remember Gary Pallister moving from Middlesbrough and took quite a long time to settle in at Manchester United. But when he did, he was a Rolls Royce of a defender. But Roy Keane, I think that without a doubt, again, I think it was in his own book, he said that the 96 Cup final, which a lot of people were underwhelmed with because it wasn't the kind of bangs and whistles that a lot of people were expecting. Yeah. With the talent on display, 2 free scoring sides, loads of really good talent. But Roy Keane in his book said it was the most difficult game he'd played in his career because there was no space, you couldn't breathe, there was nowhere to turn, nowhere to hide. And certainly for me, the epitome of that drive that then the class of 92 picked up from was Roy Keane. I know that he divides opinion because he's one of those guys that's come out post-football and sometimes he'll be quite brutal about United, and we know he had a spat with Fergie, which probably colours that. But Roy Keane and Gary Pallister, for me, really kind of, Ince you could probably say as well, but he was off in double quick time. He went to Milan and then to Liverpool. But Roy Keane in the centre of midfield, Dennis Irwin, that was for me was a criminally underrated. I know he was rated by English football fans and Irish football fans and United fans, but if you talk about the Paolo Maldinis being the very best, Dennis wasn't a million miles away from being that reliable for Man United. But I'd go for Pallister, the big Dane in goal, and Roy Keane. They epitomised what Manchester United were about, and you knew you were always going to be in for an incredibly tough game. It's
funny about Keane because I love Roy Keane. I know he does divide opinion, but I love Roy Keane, and that's partly what I'm going to come on to you in a minute about Forest. But Keane, a lot of people say 99 was his best game. He was brilliant. But it wasn't. 96 was his best game. That cup final. It was like you say. It wasn't a great final, but his performance was superb, and it really was 2 attacking sides like you're going head to head. And I think sometimes that happens in football, doesn't it? But I also remember...
I think that what we all do is we all get very giddy and very excited about 4-3s and 5-3s and 8-2s and 6-2s. And that's great because we want to be entertained. You have to be entertained. And with the amount of money spent, on training facilities and modern technology, you want to be entertained. But for Roy Keane to turn round, because I remember walking off the pitch, I was subbed late on, Ian Rush came on. And I remember thinking that was a bloody hard game. So to have it rubber stamped by a man that was hardness personified in an area of the pitch that he kind of patrolled well. I mean, I remember going all the way back to, Diego Maradona, I think, watching him play for the Republic of Ireland in Seville and saying this lad is going to be something special. His engine was incredible. So for him to come off the pitch and say that was the toughest game that I'd played in, I think that summed up those kind of battles. In terms of subsequently, I think that the Beckham Neville's, Scholes, even Ryan Giggs around that time, that was the kind of flighty winger that then learned how to play midfield, learned how to temper his game. That all came from people like big characters in the dressing room, like Schmeichel, like Bruce, like Pallister, and like Roy Keane, because they demanded that people kept on changing. So I'm sure from a Manchester United fan's perspective, they want to get back to that. And I think that Jose Mourinho, the one thing he will do, if he didn't have the style and the swagger of a Sir Alex Ferguson, he knows how to win. So it might be a different way of success that Manchester United now follow. But he won't suffer fools gladly. And if he gets in 7 or 8 characters in the dressing room that he feels are winners, he won't care if they've got those bells and whistles on the end. He just wants them to win. And of course, as we all know, as you start winning trophies, better quality of player wants to join you. Champions League players want to join you. You then start to get to the latter stage, and it becomes cause and effect.
Yeah, I've lost my train of thought there, because you're making some good points. I know what I was going to say. I'm actually from Nottingham, and I was at the Forest United game. I think it was the season you got promoted with Forest. Monday night football, 1-1. You scored, and Kanchelski scored for United. But all my mates are Forest fans. But one of the things that always, just quickly on Keane, one of the things that always makes me laugh is that you've got a better reputation with Forest fans than Roy Keane, which they seem to hate him. But he was fantastic that season.
It's a strange one. I mean, I remember joining Forest from Southend, and Roy had been basically put out to sort of pasture by Frank Clark, the manager, because Frank Clark said to him, either sign a new contract or go to United. It was being mooted that he was going to go to United anyway, so he was made to train with the kids. But I've got nothing but the utmost respect for Roy Keane. I know that for a lot of Forest fans, they felt he should have stayed. But it was a British record transfer. He was going to a club, it was very similar to when I went from Forest to Liverpool. It was nothing. There was never any disrespect intended towards Nottingham Forest, a big club in their own right. But I think there are only 1 or 2 opportunities, if you're lucky, that kind of, clubs that have won 38 league titles, 8 Champions League, UEFA Cups, FIFA World Cups between them, and you have to take it. So I respect Roy Keane for doing that. He's a brusque character. That, like I say, I know that speaking to a lot of my mates, a couple of them are Man United fans, they really don't like Roy Keane because of the way that he spoke about Sir Alex Ferguson. But what I do respect about him is that he has no favourites. He had no favourites on the pitch. He always demanded the very best from the players that he played around. And he'll be exactly the same in the Republic of Ireland dressing room, and he's exactly the same in the ITV studio. So he's nothing if not consistent.
Yeah, I love him. I know what he did to Sir Alex, but he was Sir Alex on the pitch, and without him on the pitch, we wouldn't have had all the success. But quickly, you obviously left Forest to Liverpool. Was there ever an opportunity to go to United, or did that shit never come?
I mean, I thought it was almost done and dusted after that Forest game where we won 2-1. I remember going into the press conference after, and that was all I was being asked: are you going to United? Are you going to United? And my agent was Paul Stretford. Paul Stretford's a massive Man United fan, and he kept on saying, Alex is interested, Alex is interested, Alex is interested. And then it went quiet for about 4 or 5 days. And I remember a guy called Ian Edwards at the Nottingham Evening Post wrote a headline on the back of the Nottingham Evening Post saying, Collymore will sign for United in the next 24 hours. And apparently he was tipped off by Stretford. Now, in the meantime, his other main client was Andy Cole. And of course, the story went, and no reason to disbelieve this, that there's a conversation between Kevin Keegan, who was Newcastle manager, and Sir Alex Ferguson about Keith Gillespie. And Kevin Keegan wanted Gillespie. So Sir Alex Ferguson said to him, and of course we remember at that time, Andy Cole was going nowhere. It was Cole the goal at Newcastle. He was scoring goals for fun. His partnership with Peter Beardsley was superb. So it was never going to happen, even to Manchester United. So Sir Alex Ferguson asked the question. He was getting batted off by Frank Clark about me going there. Frank wouldn't return his calls. So he asked the question to Kevin Keegan, what about Andy Cole? And apparently the call went quiet. So Fergie knew then that there was something there. There was a little nibble. So he made the bid, got the player. Paul Stretford was more than happy to facilitate one of his clients going to United. I was really pissed off. Not because I didn't go to United, but I was pissed off because he didn't call me for 5 days. And he just went missing Stretford doing the coal deal. And he just came back to me and said, score your goals till the end of the season and we'll either get you a better contract at Forest or there'll be other clubs interested. And as it was Liverpool. So I've no regrets going to Liverpool. I think that if Fergie was the Liverpool manager at that point with that group of players, Liverpool won the title. With that group of United players, United win the title. But Paul Stretford, again, showing no particular loyalty to any of his clients. And I'm afraid for Wayne Rooney, although he's been a cash cow for Mr. Stretford over a decade now, that when Wayne's legs go and perhaps America calls, I think that Paul Stretford may well move on to the next one. But always big games, always enjoyed the Liverpool Man United games. I'm going to be in New York doing it and doing the Sirius show after. And may the best team win, because I think it's important for English football, for both of those clubs, particularly in this day and age where Barcelona and Real Madrid and Bayern Munich are dominating not only nationally but internationally, that our two biggest clubs with the biggest resources, with the most experience in European football, get back to the top table as quickly as possible. And
if I could push you for a prediction, Stan, which way would you go?
If Liverpool score in the first half, they win 2-0. If it's 0-0 at half time, I go United 1-0.
Great. Okay. I just want to quickly say that I remember what Stan was like as a forward, and if you're thinking how it would have worked out, Andy Cole was a very good goal scorer. But what Stan used to do really well is pick it up on the halfway line, go past the two defenders, and put it in the back of the net. That's what I remember.
There would have been room for both.
Yeah, well, it would have been interesting. But I've taken up more than enough of his time. Thanks so much for coming on, Stan. I just want to give a big shout out. He is we're United fans here, but do follow Stan Collymore on Twitter. He does say it how it is. He's got a wide knowledge of football for all clubs, and he's not afraid to say it. And there is a link in the video description to vote for him in the Football Blogging Awards. Obviously, we're in it. Stan's in a totally different section as I think it's Best Influencer or something like that.
It is, yeah.
So please do vote for him. Hopefully we'd get him on again, but it's been absolutely a pleasure to have you on, Stan, and thanks from everybody at the United Stand for coming on and giving us that other side of things.
No worries. See you very soon.
Cheers, Stan. Okay, well, I think I'm going to wrap it up there. Stan's gone. I will wrap it up there. There was things I wanted to talk about my team selection, etc. for the United game. Let me just get back onto the live comments, because I know that I've neglected you all a lot tonight, but I think when you've got somebody like that on, you've just got to let them speak. And there was a few questions that I really, really wanted to ask personally, especially about the 96, and talking about Roy Keane's always very, very enjoyable. So, what are we at? Let's have a quick look. I just want to process what he said. I do agree with what he said. I think the first 20 minutes is massive, and it always is. It's not rocket science. It always is. The Liverpool game at Anfield, the first 20 minutes, they'll come at us like a train, and we will have to soak that up and just sit back and see what happens, because it is going to be really, really interesting. But are we still live? That's a good point. And talking about Roy Keane's always... We are live. Good. I thought we weren't live then. So yeah, very, very interested to see how it will go. I think with the first 20 minutes, fasten your seatbelts and then build our way into the game. As I keep saying, I really wish we hadn't beaten them last year under Van Gaal, so we could save that lucky win, because it was a lucky win. They totally and utterly dominated us, and it was the classic. What am I doing, Mark? It was the classic smash and grab. So there we go. Do please, I know you're going to vote for us in the FBAs, and we can talk about that in the next couple of weeks, but please do vote for Stan Collymore. I think the way he was let go by TalkSport, I don't know the full story, was ridiculous. I think Paul Collymore's great, and I think he just saying how it is, and how many ex-professional footballers, very high ex-professional footballers, would come on an independent fan channel and have a chat and answer the sort of stuff we've done there so openly for nothing as well. I really applaud him, so do follow him and definitely do vote for him, because we certainly will be. I really enjoyed that. Love getting the other side of things, because you can get United tinted glasses, and I think that's the greatness about this channel, is people have been quite open about Klopp and how they like him. For me, it's foreign, because I do have that dislike for Liverpool. It's a respect dislike, because we're very similar, but I would never ever go for a Liverpool. I would never give them credit. That's what I'm like, and some United fans are like that. So it's good to be have that opposing thing. My team selection, I think I'm going to do a bonus video probably on Saturday, because we've got Van Cam from Kev tomorrow, and I'll do a bonus video of how I would line up, because we've still got till Monday anyway. So it was meant to be a preview. it can stand as a preview, but it stands preview really with a little bit of input from me. But I hope you've really enjoyed it. Please do drop us a like, because it's been probably one of the most pleasurable videos I've ever had. We love having all our guests, and we love having the live comments on there. But it's not very often you're in the presence of somebody who's been there and done it at the highest level, and give us that insight into, especially that '96 Cup final, which a lot of people say it was boring. Roy Keane's greatest game. Fantastic cup final in many ways, especially if you're a tactical man. And it was good to hear about the likes of Pallister and Dennis Irwin, who the Maldini thing from Stan there isn't underestimating it at all. Just never United fans love Dennis Irwin, and he could play equally good right back, left back, penalties, free kicks. The Irish will tell you how good he was, but because he wasn't English, he didn't get that international exposure. But an absolutely immense fullback and brilliant player. So it's nice to get that from a non-United player. And it would have been really, I wanted to ask him whether there was any chance of him coming to United, because the Andy Cole signing, I remember, was training for my team. I can't remember how old I was, but we were training on it would have been, when did we used to train for that side? Probably a Tuesday night. And you didn't have Twitter or anything in them days. It was CFAX 302. And somebody heard it on the radio that Andy Cole had signed for United, and I think I never used to play up front, and I played up that front that night because we had a big Newcastle fan, and I was whacking the ball in the net going, Andy Cole, and he was gutted because all they had left was Paul Kitson. But Andy Cole was a real bolt from the blue, so it's interesting to know that we were in for Collymore as well. So really interesting. Would Stan at United have been good? It's a bit like Gascoigne at United, or Shearer at United. What would Sir Alex Ferguson have done to a player like that? Because we know Stan's career at Liverpool was quite good, but then it petered off through a few clubs. Like many good players, temperamental, but a very good player and very different to Andy Cole. So it would have been interesting to see how he would have been embedded into United, but interesting to know that Cole was after him. T-Dog MN says, stop ignoring people, Mark. It's been a busy show, guys. Come on, he can't do everything. I'm going to have a look at some of your comments now. Would you play Pogba at number 10, Carrick Herrera in the midfield, or Mata at number 10, says Shaka Phillips. I'm not going to talk about the team now because I'll do that for you on Saturday. Stop crying for attention, says Jay Bod. But Shaka Phillips is asking about the team. Kevin McGrath, I grew up watching every Premier League game, got original Premier League guide somewhere. Well done, United Stan, and Mark, says SN. Thanks to that. It's, getting someone like Stan on is not just because of the United Stand and the people in front of the screen, it's because of all you lot, because the United Stand is a credible outlet. It's an independent, the biggest independent and credible outlet out there. So people are interested in it because of you lot and how you get involved. So I applaud you lot. So everyone's saying well done. Tap yourselves on the back. Mark, why do you keep saying it's their cup final? You keep saying that you're the only one that believes that, says Tom Sands. Because I think if any Liverpool fan was absolutely honest, it is their cup final. I'll tell you what then. It's torture because I could never do this, but you watch the atmosphere at Anfield on Monday, like I've watched every year for the last 30 odd years. It's like a cauldron. It's like a cauldron, and the only time it ever comes close to that, again, is in the latter stage of the European games where they intimidate European opposition. There is no Premier League. Look at Liverpool's home record. It's ridiculously bad over the last 10 years. Teams like West Ham and Burnley go and get points there. I mean, I know we've been bad over the last 3 years, but if Liverpool is such a great, intimidating atmosphere, it isn't. It is for us when we go there because it is their cup final. It's the one game they want to win every season. Hence, it's their cup final. I think you could argue what's United's biggest game of the season. It probably is Liverpool, but it's not as important because we've got Arsenal, we've got Man City, we've got Chelsea. These are all big games for us, and we've normally got European football as well. But for Liverpool, I'm not even disrespecting them. What's wrong with them admitting that they're a club with the best history in English football goes head to head with another club that's not too far away with the best history in English football, and they go head to head? Of course it's their biggest game at Anfield. I'm not disrespecting them by saying that. It is their cup final on Monday, massively, and I'll argue that with anybody. Mark, do you play semi-pro on FIFA? No, I play world class. 30 odd years, Mark, you only look about 12, says Delta Daz. Has good and bad points. Would you start Carrick on Monday, says the Carrick fan? Experience is good in that sense. You tell you what, I can't give you my team at the moment anyway because I've been bamboozled by what has been a great show, and I'd need a couple of minutes to think about it, and we've ran over a little bit. But Tom Sant says I'm delusional because I'm saying that Liverpool United is their cup final. Tom, I don't know what club you support, But you're delusional if you're a United fan and you don't think it's their cup final. And if you're a Liverpool fan, I suspect you need to go and understand your club and its history, mate, because United at Anfield is your biggest game of the season and it is your cup final. It's not disrespectful to say that. Just accept it. We just need a good number 10. Awesome guest, Coutinho or Depay. Tom Sants. Coutinho. See, I can be honest. I would take Coutinho over Memphis. It's not a hard question. I would take Klein over Valencia. And I would take Mane over Lingard. That's the only 3 I would give you, though. I'll always be honest. People can say it's arrogant or whatever, but I'll always be honest. SN Siddharth says, Man City, bigger rival or Liverpool? Very, very good question. I'm glad you fed that in there. I think if you live in Manchester, Manchester City is a big game because you've got to put up with it on Monday morning if you lose the derby. I think if you don't live in Manchester, I think Liverpool's the bigger game because, and you know where I come from that, there is no difference. You know, you're not a better fan because you live in Manchester. That's bollocks. But I think if you don't live in Manchester, you probably don't get the Man City thing. You just see Man City as this plastic mercenary club that can't fill its ground and is buying success. But if you live in Manchester, you've got that whole, you might be living next door to Man City fans, and that gives it that big dimension. But reality is the Liverpool game is far, far more important because they have history, they have success, and there's a real needle between the clubs that's been going on for decades. Mark, we'll see Klopp outrun Mourinho on the touchline, says Xander. Liverpool are bigger, says Hunter Joker. Come on, United. Do you feel a bit sorry for Rooney, says Humza Raymond? No, I think he's just, Rooney's career has been amazing, absolutely amazing. Won everything domestically, top scorer of all time for England. He'll be the top appearance for all time for England. He'll do the same for United as the top scorer. If it all ended now, what a career. And it is going to end now because he's on the decline. It's just how they get him out of the club. It needs to happen. Everybody comes to an end. And it is a decline. It's sad. It's sad for him. It's sad for us because a decent Rooney is an asset. But there you go. Feel sorry for 300k a week up at Sterling. Are you stupid? We have the attacking prowess to shred Leeds defence. So we've got Leeds fans on. Okay. Right, everybody. We've gone on for absolutely ages. It's been a fantastic show. I apologise if you haven't enjoyed the last 10 minutes of me because it's probably not as interesting as listening to Stan Collymore. But really enjoyed it. Please drop us a like. I'm not shouting out for the United stand for anything tonight. What I would ask is if you do like the United stand and you have enjoyed the show and you've appreciated having a guest like that on come on, all I would ask from us for this channel is if you could go into the video description and where it says vote Stan Collymore in the Football Blogging Awards, just click it and vote for him, and he'll see all the votes, and that'll be the appreciation we can give for people like that on. And who knows, in the future he might come back on or others might come back on. But I'm not often humbled apart from you on the live comments and the effort you make to watch this show. But that's, I'm not just saying it. The questions are more or less prepared anyway. That's one of the best football interviews I've seen this year because it was honest from somebody who's played it at the top of the game, answering questions. I have asked people questions before and it goes through their agent and all sorts, and it's like, no, we're not going to answer this, we're not going to answer that. And it's not hard stuff. It's just, we ever going to come to United, stuff like that. So fantastic. So please drop him in the video description a vote. That would be great from us lot. But thanks everybody, really enjoyed it. We've got Van Cam tomorrow, and I'll be doing my FIFA United stand career at 8:30 tomorrow night for anybody who watches that on our FIFA channel. And then on Saturday I'll put a video up of what my lineup would be because it was meant to be done tonight but it's ran over, but I think it's been a great show. Hopefully you've all enjoyed it. Speak to you all very soon. I applaud you all on the live comments as per usual. I'm sorry we couldn't get more involved when we had Stan on, but at the end of the day he was only meant to be on for 10 minutes and I think we got 25 by just keeping the questions flowing. So I don't apologise in a way, but I know it would have been great to get some of your questions. Cheers everybody, share the video, like the video, but most importantly go and vote for Stan Collymore in the FBAs because I've never seen anybody just come on and do that for free for a fan channel before, and an independent one at that. So top bloke, and thanks everybody for watching. Speak to you all very soon. The international break is basically over and we're building towards a massive game, and I'm starting to feel the nerves, but let's go for it. Thanks everybody, speak to you.